Okay, hello. Uh, well, I know that we are going to have sessions of 2 hours from today onwards. Um, I have received this announcement, so it means that our classes are going to finish on April 8th. Is that correct? Hello? Yeah. Well, so I'm going to start right now with a lesson, and there you have. I'm going to start with this lesson, okay? So, Advanced Architect, we are going to finish on Wednesday. Wednesday is going to be March 27th. So I'm going to bring on that day that announcement. So uh, that's the point. Do you have any question for this? Okay. Um, well, I'll talk with you and all these parts, all these things from yesterday about how to work with some with a configuration of a process. In today's session, what I'm going to do is to activate this part, the way that I'm going to work with a session. Uh, so I'm going to run a case, but before that, I'm going to make some modifications, okay, before starting running a case. Okay, I'm going to provide the class recordings when we finish the Advanced Architect course, okay? As soon as I finish that, I'm going to provide the recordings. I need to produce them. It's going to take some time, and then I'm going to send it because we have time. But as soon as I have, I'm going to make all the productions for the Advanced Architect course. Okay, so I'm going to edit this. Okay. Okay. Let me work with this. Okay. So I'm going to enter with home to open a case and then click on new case. Then I'm going to log out. First of all, I'm going to log out, and I'm going to enter with the credentials of Julian. Since he is the first guy who's going to be doing this, he can open the invoice approval process. So in home and the new case, you can click on this process and start a new case. And there you have, you are going to have the name, the address, and here the email address and then the address. So I need to fill in everything. Excuse me, I don't have the PMT tables for this. Then the due on receipt, the terms, and then finally add here the quantity, for instance. Then I'm going to enter a file. Excuses. I'm going to enter a file. And I'm going to submit. Then I'm going to enter to continue. Then I'm going to enter to next step. And then continue with this. Now, if you remember in the configuration that I had, Julian has his manager and his manager is going to be Ian. Okay. Now, this assignment of Ian to this task approve invoice is based on the report to assignment rule. I'm going to continue and show you what I tried to say. Julian started the first task. Okay, let me show you this. In the designer, in the invoice approval process, Julian started with this task. Then Ian continued with this task. But this relation is because this task has the reports to assign. Okay? Now, this type of assignment is going to obey this configuration. Let me show you departments. Okay. Ian. Ian is the manager of Julian. And that's why he is going to be the person who is going to work with this. Now, I'm going to start with that. I'm going to enter IN and then admin here. Then I'm going to submit this. Click on continue, then click on pay invoice. And finally, the invoice is going to be done. I'm going to log out and see who is going to be in charge of the next task. Okay. I'm going to make this. Oh, I forgot. I forgot that one. I'm going to restart everything. Okay. I'm going to show you. I didn't see that user. I thought that it was the admin user, but I'm going to make it fast. I'm going to start with Julian, the first task. Okay, the first task, I'm going to make it this, then this. Then I'm going to start with a radio. iron. Going to continue. Okay, Mike Trombley is going to be the next one. I'm going to make the admin to use some settings here in users. So it's going to be Mike, here the admin. Well, this is I'm going to change it, okay? Or to re-enter and change the interface. Now I'm going to open this case. And now this is the final. The proof of payment is going to be this one. I'm going to click on next step and then finish. So that's the use of that I can explain about running a case. Let's do the first task. Let's do this lab, okay? You're going to have 10 minutes. So let's do this lab, just the lab, nothing more. In the section of running a process, I need you to do this lab, running an invoice approval process, okay? Can we do this lab? Hello? Can we do this lab, running an invoice approval process? Okay, 10 minutes please, 10 minutes. Hello, did you finish? Hello? Okay, can I continue? Hello? Okay, when you have that problems of assignment, please try to check your configurations, okay? Try to check the user configuration that you have. Okay, because at least the employees, the employees group should be there assigned to the first task. Okay, I'm going to continue. The next chapter is also very easy. Is called, let me show you here. You go here and we are going to talk about the custom case list builder. What it means is that I can modify or edit the custom case list builder according to my needs. Okay, so I can start making this type of modification. Um, well, just that. So how it works? If I move here to custom case and then I move to one of these folders, let me remind you that all these folders are these. I'm talking about all these folders: inbox, draft, participated and assigned, and post. All these folders. Okay. Now I can make the rearrangement of fields. For instance, if I'm going to check on draft or participated or maybe draft, I by force I'm going to select a PM table, and then I can make some modifications. For instance, I can reduce the quantity of fields from this folder. Let me see that right now. A folder like draft is going to have um, these fields. But if I take out all of these, it says that I should select the PM table. Okay, I'm going to enter a PM table. Okay, any PM table. It just asks me that. Okay. Okay, but I have a PM table. Maybe it's a report table. I'm going to create a report table. Okay. This one. Okay, workflow, everything, and create. Okay, inventory. Okay, I'm going to move back to this custom case list builder. Let me click again here, select a report table, and in draft what I can do after selecting that, I can go back. I can reduce the quantity of fields of the case list fields and apply the changes. When that happens, okay, I am doing that. When that happens, I'm going to move to home, and in home I'm going to check here the draft, and there you have. You're going to find all of this. You're going to find the summary, the number. So you're going to find all of this reduced. So it depends also on the changes that we can insert on the table. And well, it's just that the custom case list builder is nothing more than just a way to reorder your fields, a way to start working with it. That's the custom case list builder. It allows you to reorder your information from your folders that you have. Now, if I move backwards, here, I reorder everything. Okay. When that happens, I'm going to apply the changes, move again to home, move to draft, and then I recover everything. this one. I'm going to recover every just the PM tables. That's the PM table. Okay. So just that. Can we do the next lab, please? There is a next lab waiting for you. This one, custom case list builder. Do you have? Can we do this lab? Hello, hello. Hi. Can we do this lab? Custom case list builder. Can we do this lab, please? Okay. 10 minutes. Hello. How are you? Hello. Fine. Well, I'm going to start with something more, okay? We are going to talk about batch routing, and then after talking about batch routing, I'm going to explain you the last things. Okay, what is batch routing? Let me start with that. Batch routing is a type of feature that allows me to work cases directly from a folder without accessing to process main. It avoids that. So, if I go here to the approval invoice and I click on properties, I am going to consolidate that case and then enable this. I'm going to select the dynamo. Okay, it means that I'm going to collect all the cases in a folder using these activity properties, and I don't need to access to each one of the cases. I'm going to avoid that step. So I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. Okay, and uh, well, by using that, I'm going to run cases. Okay, since I have activated the batch routing, you are going to see in this folder two cases that are going to be compiled. So I'm going to run cases, For instance, this, I'm going to enter this date, then due or received. I'm filling in just this. I'm filling in, for instance, this 30 TVs with this price. Then 10 is going to be a cell phone. Going to be a cell phone. Okay. Then I'm going to submit this and go again. Okay. Now you can see in the batch routing I have 3. At the beginning I had just 4. I just had 2. I'm going to run a case and this number is going to become 4. So let me introduce this again. I'm going to introduce this, then this, then. So I have a batch routing 4. I'm going to enter here and you can find that you have 4. Okay, 4 cases. And I have run these cases. Now you can see that each one of the fields that we have in a Dynaform is going to be represented by all of these columns that you can see here. So if I click on here and click on here, I can go to the end, and in the approve invoice, if you remember, there is a drop down that says yes or no. So I can click on here with this drop down and select yes and select yes. Notice that since all the fields of a Dynaform are going to be collected, are going to be represented by columns here, I don't need to access to each one of the cases. In case you need a grid is not going to be represented here, but in this case I'm talking about text fields and so on, and they are going to be represented here. So when that happens, I can select 2 of these and take some actions. Notice that I have selected yes and yes in both drop downs. So I can click on routed and you are going to see a message that confirms the routing for this. So I'm going to click on yes, and there you have it. It says case 21, case 20, summary of derivations, pay invoice, administrator admin, summary of derivations, pay invoice, administrator admin. So I can erase this, and now those messages have been sent to the next task according to the routing rules that it has. So do you have any question for this? Is that all clear? Do you have any question? It's very easy to handle that. Okay? So can we finish the lesson by doing this lab and this quiz? Is that fine for you? Can we do this lab by routing and then the quiz? Can you answer me, please? Hello? Okay, can we do this batch routing and this quiz? Both things, please. The lab and the quiz. Okay, thanks. Hello, how are you? How is it going? Well, I'm going to check the answers from here. Let's check the answers, please. Question 1 says, the home interface inbox only lists cases assigned to the current user. True. The following case folders are included in the home interface: inbox, post, and assigned draft. Question 3. Users must be assigned to the first task in a process in order to be able to create new cases. True. New cases can only be created by the user who designed the process. False. New cases are created from the admin interface. Oh, home interface. Going to finish. Okay. I'm going to move to the next chapter. Um, okay. The point is this one. I'm going to explain it as this way. Sometimes we need to design a process and it must meet our requirements. I'm not going to pose the problem in this sense. Imagine that you have a survey, and in a survey you want to assess the quality of your service. Process Maker has the Dynaform for this. It's going to be a form where the people can start to play a little bit with that form. Okay, but the point is this one, that if I'm going to have many of these people using this form, I'm not going to create many accounts in Process Maker for those customers. So the way that I'm going to expose this form is going to be called web entry. So I'm going to move here to the invoice upload process, and in here, if you click on your right side, you can click on the web entry. Web entries are going to allow me to create to associate a Dynaform to a link. It's going to create directly a link. That's the point. Web entry. Okay, I'm going to create a web entry. That's the main point of it. So by doing that, I'm going to introduce this. Okay, so I'm going to use this, the single form or the multiple step. Okay, I have three options here. The first option is going to be the construction of my web entry, the forms, then the properties added, and then the configuration of the link, both of these. So what I'm going to do here is to introduce, for instance, it can be a single Dynaform, or I can make it a multiple step. In here I can assign some Dynaforms like this one, and then into document. Because I'm assigning a multiple step, okay, a multiple step web entry. When I do that, you're going to find all of this information. Then I can go to properties, and you're going to find that I can add the title web entry Axiata, for instance, and I can use the authentication or not to use. Let me show you something. If I click on require user login, and then, for instance, if I click this option, I can enter a custom URL where I'm going to move, show you this. The callback action, this one, allows me that once finished our process maker procedure, okay, once finished, it's going to return to a website that I'm showing here. This button makes possible to open the case through the web tree and also through the process maker server. Okay, I'm not going to use this. I'm showing you these properties. Okay, this one is a very interesting property. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to generate a link. What happens with this? Let me show you. With a web entry, I can make all of these, then make the submit. Okay, then finish the invoice, and oh, I need to make some configurations. Just a moment, please. I'm going to make it this cyclical. Okay, so I am making just some configurations. Let's make it work. This I'm going to submit, and my callback action after finishing the web entry is going to be the Google website. But the point is this one. I have integrated an input document and a Dynaform and associated to this embedded link. In properties, you can modify the redirect custom URL, some specific features for this. Okay, if I click here, for instance, it means that I can start a case through the web entry, but also I can start in here. But if it doesn't happen, for instance, the invoice approval, if that doesn't happen, I'm going to use not to show the case and move here to home. You're not going to find the same process. The point of all of this is this one, the web entry, the properties, the link. So all of this is going to show me aspects of our web entry, show me aspects of the configuration of my web entry. Look at the properties. They are going to show you some of these configurations that are necessary for the web entry. Just basically that. The forms are going to provide me the structure of my web entry. And finally, the link is going to provide me the structure of my link of the link that I need to embed in the web entry. So if you have your, for instance, your process maker, for instance, your website, and you are going to embed a survey, this is the best way to do it. I'm going to recover that information through this way. Okay, so from an external customer, you are going to receive details and start operating in it. That's the web entry. Okay, did you understand this part? Is it clear? Is it clear? Did you understand? Hello? Okay, so that's the web entry. Now you can make, for instance, in the link, you can add some interesting things like this one, where you can start playing with a host name. and generate a link from that. Okay, so that's a web entry URL. So you can start exploring many things of the web entry, the properties, the form, and so on. So it's going to depend on the requirements that you have. It's going to depend on the features that you have. Just it's something that I say right now. You can start investing your time on playing with these features. Now I'm going to explain a second feature. The name is called. The name is Case Tracker. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and I'm going to move to the Case Tracker here. And what I need to do here with the Case Tracker is something very interesting. Okay, since I have cases run, I can start doing some. We can call it changes. The point is not changes. I'm going to get access to the information of my case tracker. That's the point. If, for instance, let's put it this way: you have a process of a loan from the bank, and a loan from a bank. You want to see your request, and you are an external customer. You know that that bank uses process maker, so they can provide you your case, and they can provide you some information where you can see your case, and that means that you can see your request in progress. That's the point of using that thing. So that feature, excuse me. So let's begin with that. I'm going to move here to the designer. Okay, and in the designer, I'm going to make something very interesting. I'm going to move here to the invoice approval process, and I'm going to create a type of configuration with which I can find, with which I'm going to see the case tracker. The case tracker allows me to see what is happening with my case. So if I click here, is this one, and in the case tracker I can make possible the display of the process map, the display of the routing history, and the display of messages, three of them. Then I can assign objects to see what is happening. So I can assign the approving report form, for instance. I can assign the report form, or I can assign the proof of payment. So these objects that I assign are going to be seen in the available objects section. So I'm doing this type of work by introducing into the available objects section. So you have all of these. The only thing that you have to do is to save it, and then start seeing how it runs. So I'm going to run a case. For this I need some debugging. Okay, I need to run a case here with home. I click on new case. Okay, let me do something. I'm going to erase the web entry. Okay, okay. I'm going to start working with this. I'm going to introduce. Okay, I have these values. Not going to emphasize a lot in filling in the Dynaform because my purpose is to show you. Now, to access to this part, you need to have the pin and the number of case. In this case is 63. Okay, and it is 6 nmt. So when that happens, I'm going to enter this, submit, enter to OK, and there you have. Okay, I'm going to continue. That's fine. Excuse me, is the case 23, not 63. Okay, 23. Let's start working with that. I'm going to submit, click on continue, move again, click on continue, and finally finish the case. Now, well, I'm not going to introduce that. I'm going to move now to the case tracker. And to access this, what you have to do is to enter here to Neoclassic, then tracker. Let me remind you, it's tracker login if I remember. Okay, in this URL of your server, you are going to enter to the case tracker. To enter to the case tracker finally to your own case, you need to put here 23, here the 6 nmt, and enter everything here. There you can find that now first it's going to show you this map. Okay, in the map you are going to find the receiving voice, the approving voice, the paying voice, and so on. So the execution of the tasks. And with these colored legends you are going to see what is happening. Okay, I'm going to move to the next part again. And then I'm going to enter to this part of the case tracker. I'm going to see the case forms, and you can see the proof of payment, okay? Or you can see just a moment, okay? You can see your case history, or you can see in your case forms and documents the documents that you have assigned for your case track, like for instance the report form. You can move backwards and you can see the message history. Okay, so it's going to show you a lot of things where you can study the current state of your um, process and specifically of your case. So both things combined are going to be important. With case tracker and web entry, you can extend the functionalities and start working with it. Okay, so just that. Did you understand this part? Is it clear? Hello, is it clear? Okay, that's fine. Let's make a lab. We are going to have a lab with that, and then I'm going to make a brief review of all the things that we have seen today. So in the course of the Advanced Architect, you need to do this lab. Web entries and case tracking. You need to work with this lab. Web entries and case tracking. Okay? Can we start this lab? Hello? Okay, 15 minutes, please. Hello, did you finish? Hello, did you finish the lab? Hello, can anybody answer me? Hello? Did all of you finish the lab? Okay, so can I continue? Hello. Um, hello. Did everyone finish the lab? This lab or not? Can anybody tell me that? You finished the lab? Hello. Okay. Uh, well, I want to know your comments for this session. We are going to have this session tomorrow more. On Wednesday, we're going to finish this part of the Advanced Architect. And once I finish everything, I'm going to start producing the videos and I'm going to share with you. But now, I'm not going to do that right now, but in I think next week I'm going to start producing all the videos that you require for this session. Okay, so just this is an announcement. Let me remind you that the session 3, the third session, was not recorded, so I'm going to find a way to record the session or provide you a previous version of that recording. Okay, so it's just that. It's an announcement that I'm doing right now. Well, how was it? Did you like this session? Did you like the session? How was it? Some comments that you have, please. Okay. Well, I've gone all through these chapters and explore everything about web entries and so on. So tomorrow is going to be our last session of the Advanced Architect. I'm going to start producing some videos, and let me remind you that you are going to have a survey to assess the training. So well, just that it's a comment that I'm doing. Since we have just 2 hours, please try to be very try to answer, or just to be all the time with us, because we don't have a lot of time. It's 2 hours, and sometimes it's hard to measure when it's 2 sessions. Okay, I need to do I need to rearrange the times and schedules and so on to satisfy all our training. Well, let's see. I started first with with running a case, and as you know, for running a case, you go to home, and since in the first task you are going to find the first person involved in that task, in your case, so he's going to able, well, when a user is assigned to the first task, he's going to get access to start a new case in the process desired. So in this case, it's invoice approval process, receive invoice, okay, and with that it's possible to start this and start working on it. It's just an announcement that I'm doing. Well, that's the invoice approval process, receive invoice. It's a way that I can start working with that. Okay. Well, if you remember when we were running the case, you found many of these stages where you are running each one of the cases. Well, that from this side. Now I want to go to another part in the designer. In the admin, we check this tool, the custom case list builder, and if you remember, it was the idea to rearrange the fields, rearrange all the information that it was used for this purpose. So the folders that you find, like inbox, draft, participated, and assigned and post, they can be modified according to our needs. And that's actually what we do with this rearrangement of fields. We want to rearrange everything and start working with that. Just that. I'm just mentioning this. It's going to be important to discuss later, but it works as this way. So custom case lister is going to make this rearrangement of fields. Now, if you look here in the designer, okay, there is another part, and it's the batch routing. The batch routing is going to allow me to collect information, if we can call it like that. I'm going to collect information, enable the consolidation for this task, and I'm going to collect this a template, a Dynaform template. You're going to notice some of these modifications as you're going to notice all these modifications as you can see them. The table name, the title, so you're going to see all this rearrangement of things, all these modifications. Okay, so just that I'm talking about all of this. Um, uh, well, consolidated case is going to report me also all the cases that I have worked in this folder, the batch routing folder, and they are going to be arranged according to my needs. That's the batch routing folder. Okay. It allows you to collect this information and arrange all the fields in columns. Now, thinking about the two of the design tools that we have learned, some advanced options. If we go to the invoice approval process, we saw first the web entry. And the web entry is going to be a Dynaform associated to a link. So it helps you a lot because that link can be embedded in your website. So you can enter it for you can enter to your website. Well, you enter that. You enter that field, okay? You enter in that link a Dynaform, and you can start working with that. Um, but just this type of announcement, these forms. So in the forms, you are going to find all of these, the single and multiple steps. So you can construct in that way the way that we can construct our web entry. In the properties, we are going to add additional features to our web entry, like a callback action and so on. So this type of structure is going to be used in that way to add additional features to our web entry. And then this is link, and in the link you are going to explore how to construct the link, how to design the link. Okay, so just that. The case tracker is going to allow me to track a case. That's obvious. And if you remember, the way that I access to the case tracker was by using the pin number and also the number case. Both things allow me to see how is the case that I'm using, how it behaves, and so on. So if you remember, I went to one of these sites and I started exploring all the features associated to this process. But all this construction to track the available elements is going to be found here in the configurations that you can see. The process map, the routing history, the messages, and so on. The approved report form, the proof of payment. So many of these ideas. So well, just that. So if you can see, it's possible to work on this path, to work on this path to start exploring all these dimensions, we can call it, of the case tracker. Just that. So, well, just as a way to remind you, this is a very interesting aspect of the case tracker and all the tools that we have explored. But see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be our last session of the Advanced Architect course. I'm going to provide a survey. We are going to have different topics, but more related to design of the process using different shapes. Okay, so just that. Any question? Okay, I can see you on Wednesday, tomorrow. Okay, hello? Okay, see you, bye bye. Hello, how are you? Hi, hello, 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 is there anyone? Hello, okay, hi. Um, can I start? Okay. Uh, well, last session of the Advanced Architect, we're going to explore two topics. The first one is going to be about processes, and then I'm going to explain about message events. I might explain some additional features about Process Maker. Yeah, today is the last day of the Architect course. The last day, okay? So it's tomorrow we are going to start the developer. So today is the last day of the Architect course. Um, okay, just as an introduction, this is something that we are going to do today. We're going to explore the parts of processes. And then after that, I'm going to explain a little bit about the use of message events, and then we close the session. Okay, it's the last part of everything. And with this, I'm going to start producing the videos for you, and start just doing that. Producing the videos and making everything, all these kind of videos to work with it for our next, for showing you after this session. Okay, I mean next week we might have all the videos. Okay, well, things to consider. Well, we have gone through all of this of doing process maker in a very interesting way. What I mean is that what I mean is this. Um, we have explored many techniques. Okay, now I want to emphasize on something that is called as processes. So I'm going to my server right now, and I'm going to start playing with the server. Okay, I'm going to move to the designer, and then I'm going to see all of this. Uh, well, how does it work? First of all, I'm going to erase this process, okay? And I'm going to re-enter a new process. I'm going to import the same process but with different features, okay? So I'm going to move to my folder of processes. Just wait me for a moment. Okay, I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to assign the user's admin in all the cases. Okay, and save it. The steps we have everything. Now, the idea of all of this is to try to introduce. I want to introduce, call it like that. I want to introduce a process inside another process. That's something that I want to do. I want to introduce a process inside another process. Okay. Okay. So just that. I'm going to introduce that. Process inside another process. And for doing that, I'm going to follow this construction. I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to erase here this, and I'm going to introduce this icon, and this icon is a subprocess. This is going to be payment order creation. I'm going to introduce this here. Okay, this is the payment order creation. Then I'm going to add some properties here. Okay, so this is the subprocess icon, is the subprocess symbol. With this we can start working and developing the introduction of a new process embedded in a master process. This is my master process. So I'm going to click here on properties, and you're going to see that it's possible to select a process here. I'm going to select a process like, oh, we haven't imported this process. Let me import it, okay? We need to import one process more. Just a moment. This one we need to import. I'm going to paste it in processes. Okay, now that process I'm going to introduce it here. Okay, this one, and then we upload it. This I'm going to assign as admin in both cases. I'm making it admin because it's easier to handle with the admin user. Okay, that's why I use the admin. But it doesn't mean that you have to follow as this way of things. Okay, it's as you wish. Okay, so I'm going to click on here and click on properties. In here I'm going to select the process, and it's going to be this one, payment order creation. The starting activity is going to be review accounting, and then the type can be synchronous or asynchronous. Okay, can be one, either asynchronous or synchronous. Let me remind you, to configure as a process, I first enter the name. Then I selected the process is going to be embedded inside the main process. Okay. Finally, I check the starting activity and its review accounting. And then I select from two types, asynchronous or synchronous. What it means this. If I select asynchronous, it means that when I start a case here, my case continues and arrives at this point. I can continue directly and finish the main case of the main process. Okay, I can finish the main case of the main process, and I don't need to wait for this case to finish. It's not necessary for me. Okay, but when it is synchronous, you go through all these steps, and when it arrives here to the sub-process, to continue with the main case, you need to wait to finish the case of the sub-process, and then you can finish everything here. So, in that case, I'm going to use the synchronous. And in the synchronous, once that I have selected the synchronous, I need to change things. In this case, I'm going to introduce this. I need to modify the gateway, okay? I need to modify the gateway. I need to make it this equal 1. Okay? Then I'm going to save all this information. Well, now let me do something here. I'm going to click on properties and see here that there is a synchronous. Okay, and when it is synchronous, you really need to do this configuration of variable out and variable in. Now, what it means this? Variable out means that the value that I have from the main process is going to be out, but into the sub-process. What it means this? For instance, I'm going to use the APP number, this one, and the APP number is the value of the main case. And this I'm going to make it a configuration with number. This configuration means that the value that I obtained from the main case is going to be transferred to this variable of the subprocess. Okay, so I'm going to add. Then I'm going to use this as name, and then I'm going to use this as responsible. What is the idea behind this? Name is a variable from here, from the main process. And responsible is a variable that I'm going to find in my subprocess in here. Okay, so what I want is that name, the value of name, is going to be transferred to the variable responsible. Okay, so I'm going to add. Then you have the total here, and then you have the amount. And then I'm going to add. So the configurations here mean that the values that you have on your left side, the values in APP number, name, total, all these values that come from the main process are going to be transferred to the variables of your right side. Your right side variables represent the process, the subprocess. Just that. Finally, variables in is inverse. I'm going to use here, I'm going to enter the value of the value of amount comes from the subprocess, and I'm going to introduce this value in total. There you have, this is the configuration of the subprocess. Okay, so with that taken into account, you can check if everything is correct, if everything works. Okay, with that taken into account, it's easier to show you how it works, how it represents all this part. Okay, did you understand with this? Did you understand everything? Is everything clear? Okay, so I think that everything is clear in this part. I'm going to proceed. Okay, let's run a case to test it. I'm going to start into home and click on new case. I'm going to start the case here in this process, invoice approval process. So I'm going to double click here, and well, this is going to be directly filled in because of the trigger. I'm going to select the date, the due on receipt, and then the items. The item can be TV, the quantity 12, and the unit cost 11. The radio is going to be 10 and 10. And then you have 100, and I can choose a file here. This file can be this one. I'm going to submit it. Then click in approve invoice here. I'm going to click on this. Then I'm going to click on the next step here. I'm going to approve. I'm just following all the procedure for our typical process. Okay. But I want you to notice this. When you start a case in the subprocess, a case here, you're going to receive this message, and it says review accounting, payment order creation, and then next user is going to be admin, because the first user of this subprocess is the admin user. I'm going to click on continue. I'm going to double click here, and there you have. You can see all the values here, the responsible value that has been transferred, the number, and the amount. All the three values have been transferred here. Okay, I'm going to show you in the next case a more detailed version of what we have done. Okay, then again this released. Notice that some taxes are going to be discounted here, and when that happens, this value is going to be sent to the next, again, to the variable. Now this message says that we have finished the case of the subprocess. I'm going to click on continue and move again, double click here. Okay, so you are going to find all of this. Well, the PDF, it's something that we have seen in previous versions. Okay, and this is the amount paid. We have reduced that amount. But I'm going to explain now with the debugger for both processes. But it works like that. Now let's make a fully detailed explanation about how it behaves. Okay, a new case. I'm going to click here. Okay, and well, I'm going to use a date, then a due on receipt, then the description is going to be a radio, then 10, then 12 here, then here is going to be a TV, the quantity will be this one. Okay, the total amount is this one, 264. I'm going to choose a file, this is this one, and let's submit all of this. I'm going to click on OK here, and in the total amount, okay, you are going to see that three values are going to be transferred. The APP number, okay, then I have transferred not only the APP number, I have transferred the total. I'm going to transfer that, and there is another value that I'm going to transfer, the name. Notice these values. The first one is APP number is 28. The name is going to be administrator admin. And finally, the total is going to be 264. I'm going to click on continue, click here on continue, click on continue, then I'm going to click on here, double click and open again this. I'm going to click on next step, and there you have all of this. Okay, so I'm going to approve the invoice, and then I'm going to move to the first task of the subprocess. So I'm going to click on submit here and click on continue. And there you have it. It says review accounting, payment order creation, admin, administrator. I'm going to click on continue. And then I'm going to see that if you remember the values that we had from the main case were 28, case number, administrator admin, the name, who is going to be now the responsible, and the amount is 264. So these values are going to be transferred to the first Dynaform of the subcase. Okay? So in this case, our subcase is 29. I'm going to open it, and there you have. The transfer has been successful. So that's the dynamics of using a subprocess. It allows me to make the transfer. Now, if you see the synchronous feature characteristic that we have set it up in our subprocess configuration, doesn't allow me to continue with the case 28 because I need to finish the case 29, and after that I'm going to continue with the case 28. So I'm going to click on submit, then I'm going to click on continue, then I'm going to click on continue here, and then click on continue here. Then I'm going to see. Now, this amount, if you remember, well, the first configuration has been done. If you remember, these three values have been transferred in our first Dynaform, and with that we are fine. Actually, it's something that we see here. But now, here I have the amount, and the amount is going to be changed in this process, and this value is going to be transferred to total to the main case, because we are going to make some taxes and everything. So I'm going to submit this, okay, continue, and then the amount, you can see that it has reduced to 224.4, 224.4. So just that. Now that one is going to be transferred to the last Dynaform, but it's not last Dynaform, in the output document that we have in our last task of our process. So I'm going to click on finish here, and then move it here to the 28, and then let's see the PDF. I need to have the value 224.4 in this output document. Let's see, and there you can have this value has been transferred because we have made a tax deduction, and this operation of transferring the values, because the deduction was done in this process, has been done because of this configuration that you can see here. With that evidence, it means that now it works. I'm going to click on next step and finish. Well, it's not necessary to show the asynchronous case, because the most important part is that you have to know how to play, how to do a synchronous process, because it has its own features, it has its own way to work. Just that. Don't worry about the case of the asynchronous, because it's basically different. It has another procedure. It has another way to act. Okay? Do you have any question for this? Is everything correct for you? Hello, is everything correct? Uh, did you understand? No problem with this. Did you understand? Well, I was planning something. Now, first, let's do the lab. Then we are going to discuss about some things. Okay, so we are going to start the lab directly. So I'm going to move to this course, Process Maker 3 Advanced Architect course. I'm going to move here, and there I'm going to make you do this lab, the last one. Let's do this lab. So processes, okay? Can we start with this lab? So processes. Okay, 20 minutes for this execution. 20 minutes for this lab. 20. See you in 20 minutes. Hello, how are you? Fine? Hello. How was the lab? Fine? Was it fine? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, well, I think that no problems with that because it's just making the laugh in that way. I'm going to explain now message events. Okay, I want to propose you something. I don't want to take now the break because it doesn't make sense. It's just 50 minutes that we have gone through. So I'm going to propose you that after finishing the message events, we're going to take a break. Is that fine for you? I propose you that at the end because I want to continue with that. I want to make an emphasis with that, with the with all that we have gone through. So let me explain message events. Okay, I'm going to explain this part. Let's see. Uh, well, let me explain it. I'm going to move here. I have seen something very interesting here. Okay, we have gone through all of these studies, all of these uses. Okay, so now I'm going to emphasize on something very important that we should all study with detail, and it is the way that we can handle these things. For instance, about well, you have seen, no, of all of this stuff of features. Now I'm going to import a process and I'm going to start to work in a different way. The point is this one. If you see how we proceed with everything, okay, we proceeded with, let me go through all of this. Okay, let me take some information here before starting. Yes, we are going to continue, but let me import a process for such demonstration, such demo that I'm going to give you today. Such demo. Um, okay, I'm going to import this process and start working with it. Okay, it's all of this. Let me set all of this process, and well, this is the message event. Um, let's work with it. What you have here is the invoice approval process with message events. Okay, it's the invoice approval process with the message event. And what I want to do is to start working with this. Okay, I'm going to start playing a little bit with this and let's see how it works. Well, I'm going to move here and you can see all of this. You can see all of this here and here, for instance. Okay, I am playing a little bit with all these important features. Now, focus on something. I want you to pay attention on this. You have here the invoice approval process and message events. But if you see, both processes are connected. They are connected. Okay? If you remember, in the case of some processes, you have a different environment because this process is going to be outside in another different environment design. So they are not going to share the same things. Okay? They are in different environment designs. But in this case, both are going to be placed in the same environment design. So just that, and I'm just using. I want you to introduce you to this concept. I want you to introduce you to all of this. The invoice approval process, message event. It's all of this. Okay. Now how it works. First of all, I'm going to assign the rules as admin for all of these tasks. I'm going to assign as admin here, admin as well as here, the same here, admin, the same as here, admin, okay? And well, with this we are going to see some properties, okay, that's fine. Okay, there is a concept. I'm going to run a case here, okay? And once that I arrive to this part, this is going to be connected to this message event. Message events allow me to connect processes and transfer information between processes. That's something that you have to bear in mind. The message events allow me to enter information and transfer information to another process. So I'm making an exchange of information doing this relation. Okay? So what you are going to do right now, what I'm going to do, no, not you, I'm going to enter here and I'm going to create first a message structure. And this message structure is going to be brought by message type. So I'm going to click on here on the message type I'm going to create, and I'm going to introduce this, the payment order creation. And the message field is going to be amount, then is going to be name, then this is going to be number. And this I'm going to save it. This message structure allows me to save three types of values: amount, name, and number. These three values are going to be introduced in these fields: amount, name, and number. Then I'm going to click here and say payment order approval. Okay. And I'm going to introduce here the message field name, amount, then the approval here. I'm going to create, And well, I'm going to save all of this. And there you have, in message types, you're going to find the payment order approval and the payment order creation. These are the message types. These are the message structures that we are trying to follow. We are going to construct everything based on the message structure that we have created right now. In such structures, we are going to place the values of our process. So, I'm going to configure these two message events that are connected. Look at the arrow that you find here. There is a connection. So I'm going to click on here and click on properties here. And in this part, I'm going to make the payment order creation. And this ID is going to be the same as this ID because I want to make in here with this and this, I'm going to make a matching because both are going to be identified. And when this ID is selected, okay, it means that there is a correlation value. Well, that's obvious. You can find there the label correlation value. But I'm trying to make a matching, okay? So it means that this message event is going to have his receiver with the same ID, same correlation value. So it means that sender and receiver have the same ID, both match. The message type, message structure, I'm going to use this one, payment order creation. Now look at this, name is going to be amount. Well, I am using all the fields of this message type. In this message type, I'm going to introduce some values. For instance, the total, then the name, and then the number, the APP number, this one. What I try to do is that based on the message type, it gives me that structure. I'm going to repeat and emphasize on that. And in such fields, I'm going to introduce those variables, and those variables are going to contain these values. That's exactly a message type. It's going to transfer values from one process to another process. But I need to have the same message type for both message events. Now, let me emphasize on this. Just focus on this. Um, if you remember in the subprocess, we did the matching of variables. But in this case, we are making the matching of message types. Do you understand? Because all of this is in the same environment design. So I'm going to save it. The configuration from here is going to be the same. Since I have those values in the first message event with those variables, those values are going to be stored. Let me show you with this. The amount here is going to be this one. Then the name is going to be responsible. Then the number. Okay. So both are going to be related. Okay. Now I'm going to emphasize on these two. Let me introduce this, the properties here. Now, look at this. Correlation value. Number. Well, first of all, I'm going to configure both message events from here because they are connected. So first, the type of the structure that they are going to use is the approval. The same as here. In this case, I'm going to use the approval. Now notice this. In here, the correlation value is number. What it means this? If you remember, in this configuration, I stored the number here in app number. Is the number of case of this process. Is the number of case of this process, this one. And that value of the number of case is going to be transferred here, this one. That's the number of case. Okay? Is this one, this number. Okay? Now that number contains, for instance, number 1. And here you are going to have the number case. But this is the number 1, and that value has been transferred here. It goes from here. And the correlation value that I use is here 1. That number must match to this one, to the app number. Why I do this? Because I want to make the correlation value between cases. And this is the best option. First, I'm going to save the app number. I'm going to transfer it in a variable number. And then in the second process, number is going to be the correlation value. And in the main process, app number is going to be exactly the same number. So with that, I make a correlation value between both. Now, with that, is it clear? Do you understand that part? Is it clear enough? Okay, I'm going to make the configurations. In approval, I'm just going to use, I'm just going to fill in amount, okay? In amount, I'm going to fill in total. The same here, I'm going to make it total. And I'm going to save it. There you have. You have all of this, the number, okay? So, I'm going to see to the next page. Okay, now let's run the case and see what is happening. I'm going to see with you. Let me make the addition for the process. I'm going to debug here and let me see that. I'm going to enter here and click on New Case. I'm going to enter these values. Then you have the goods, the services, you introduce a date, introduce this as personal electronics, and here goods, okay? So it's going to be this personal electronics, then due or received, okay? I am filling the form. Quantity, radio, but I'm not interested in this, okay? I want to show you something that matters for me. Okay, I'm going to move. Remember, the case is number 30. The case is number 30. I'm going to continue. Move to the next step. I'm going to submit all these values. Now, see all of this. The values that I have, app number is going to be 30. Okay? Then I'm going to have the admin administrator as a name. Let me remind you this, that the configuration that we have here stored is the total, the name, and the app number. So remember these values while running the case. Is the total 1344, name, and finally here 30. When I am in this part, in here, you are going to find this. The case will be paused until you receive the corresponding message. Okay, this one. I'm going to click on continue and it's going to be paused because right now I am here. The case 30, excuse me, it's not here. The case 30 is here. When moving with those values to this part, it is going to happen, well, I'm going to have the case 31. But for that, to make it work both message events, this communication, I need to do something. I need to enter here to my server and run a cron. So first of all, I need to go here, workflow ends in here, and bin. I need to be in this path, and in here I'm going to make PHP. Okay, I need to see all of this, and it's PHP force message event cron. I'm going to apply this. I'm going to enter this command to execute the cron. The cron is going to allow me to transfer the message to this new process. The case 31 will receive the values of name, administrator admin, the number case in the value number, okay, with 30, and the amount is going to be 1344. Those values are going to be found in these variables in our next case of our process connected. So I'm going to start this. Oh, let me see the execution of this command. Maybe I failed in something there. Now you can see this command is going to be executed by workspace. It's going to see all the workspaces. And you can see there that it says message events unread 1. total cases started? 1. So the case 31 has been started. So let's see this. When this happens, when this execution happens, you are going to move here, and there you have. This 31 case is going to have the configuration. If you remember, the 3 values that we have saved from the previous case, case 30, are going to be found here. And let me remind you, number is going to be this one, and this 30 reminds me to the APP number, the number of case of the previous case that we have run, the previous case. Okay, the amount is this one, and the responsible is this one. I'm going to continue with this, and now I am here in this part in review accounting. I'm going to move to release payment order. So I'm going to click here, and then moving again, and there you have invoice approval process. I'm going to open it, continue with that, and finish the case. I need to finish the case 30, okay? And there has been that value 1344, the amount has been reducing taxes. So you are going to see less. But then with the correlation value that I have applied here, I'm going to run again the Chrome and continue the case 30. So I'm going to move here and click on this, click on open here. There you have the proof of payment is going to have these values, okay? But if you remember, let me see now the amount. The total amount is going to be different. Okay, well, I didn't configure that part, but well, you can see now that message events work in this way. So how was it? Do you have any question? For any message event, you really need to use a prompt. The execution of the prompt is by heart, something that you have to do. You can automatize that. Yes, it's possible. We're going to see in a moment the ways that you can automatize that. I'm going to explain also timer events, and with that chapter we close everything. Okay? So, well, I'm going to explain the last minutes that we are going to have in message events, some aspects of the Chrome. Well, with that, we close all the sections. We close everything. Yeah, and then I'm going to give you a final survey for you. Okay, so let's move here to the course here. Let's make this lab and this quiz. Okay, you're going to have 20 minutes for this lab and this quiz. Is that fine? Can we start with that? This lab and this quiz? Okay, let's do it. How was it? How was the lab? Fine. I'm going to check with you the quiz. Then I'm going to make a very brief explanation. Okay. With that, I'm going to close this session. Okay. First of all, let me make the quiz. Question 1 says, there are two subprocesses types, synchronous and asynchronous. Web entries can be used to assign existing cases to external users. False. The following information is required for external users to access the process maker case tracker. The case number and the cases hen. Question 4. Subprocesses are created from the designer interface like just any other process. True. How is process maker case tracker accessed? By changing the last part of the process maker URL to process maker tracker login. Going to finish the attempt. Finish. Okay, I discussed with you the part of the events, and I'm going to show you another event. Okay, this event is a timer event. A timer event has different characteristics. We're going to have different features here. This one is this type of timer event. Allows me to predefine some of the I can arrange sometimes, and in this case I start timer event, for instance, but it's going to work with the time. So start timer event, for instance, makes possible to start cases in lapses of time. If, for instance, we want to have the rate exchange of dollar and euro daily, we can automate it in process maker. We can use an start timer event to start each case daily, and then we can work with this type of event. Intermediate timer event is going to make us use a lapse of time, and with this lapse of time I'm going to start working. Okay, well, just that. Start timer event. Then well, actually this is I'm going to make it very fast for you, this type of approach. I'm going to make the properties, wait this until today 27, done. I'm going to save it. Okay, this is going to be an assignment rule. I'm going to show you how it works, the timer event. I just make this, go to here, run the case, then it says the case will be stopped until it has reached the time setting. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to move here, and again I'm going to use the same thing, same concept here, timer event from PHP, and there you have. I can now manage this with the timer events. Notice that this file is different. When that happens, it means that I can continue with this timer event process. You need a cron for timer events, but I have done it manually in both cases, message events and timer events. So you can make it more automatic. You can go here to your server, and you can make it more automatic, this type of execution of the cron. So I'm going to move to where process maker is installed. Is this process maker workflow engine bin. Okay, but this is now this is the file which is executed. But to make the execution, to make an automatic execution, I can go to etc. I can open a file called cron tab here, and in here I can create the execution of some commands. In this case, I am providing that this is minutes, hours, day of the month, day of the week, user, command, and the command is this one. The user is root, because this one is going to execute in the server. These are any value except this one, because it tells me that each 10 minutes in an hour I'm going to execute this command. So you can use that any hour, any day of the month, any day of the week, okay, so on. That's an observation that you can use, and you can start playing with that. There is an extensive literature based on that. Okay, I'm going to give you a survey, please. I need you to give you a survey. Uh, is for the training service. So I'm going to give you this survey. Try to fill in. Okay? Please fill in the survey. See ya. Fill in the survey. The survey, please. Let's fill in the survey. Hello. Well, uh, about the test. I'm going to send you an email, okay? And in this mail, I'm going to give you the instructions. The test is 40 questions, 40 theoretical questions, and one practical question. Please, in the practical question, what you need to emphasize, please, is that the final question, okay, that question number 41, there is a section that says things to be done, okay, things to be evaluated, okay, things to be evaluated, and you have to do around 3 or 5 things, depending 3 or 5 tasks depending on your requirements of your process. This is going to be evaluated for the practical question. It's the only thing that you have to do, nothing more, okay? Well, we didn't take any breaks, so I'm going to finish earlier. Well, for me, Is there no question? You can send me an email if you need more answers. Tomorrow we are going to start the developer course. Okay, you are going to have, I'm going to repeat, you are going to have 40 theoretical questions. You're going to have one practical question. One practical question. There is a section that says things to be done. Okay? The tasks that need to be executed, because I'm going to base my corrections on that section. That's the practical question. 40 theoretical questions and one practical question, the question 41. Um, I'm going to send you an email with the instructions for doing the exam. Okay? Boom. Um, See you next time. Okay, I'm going to finish earlier. Okay? Bye bye.